Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. I never thought I would feel jealous of El Salvador. Nayib Bukele just won another 5 years as president in a landslide victory, with members of his party New Ideas also winning most of the government's legislative seats. Turns out people like not being extorted by gangs to keep their businesses running. They like letting their kids be able to play outside without fear of stray bullets. And they like having a homicide rate plunge from 51 per 100,000 citizens to just 3. All by locking up gang members. I mean, imagine that. Like I've said before, decline is a choice. We don't have to let criminals run the streets. It's not as complicated as NGO hucksters and politicians paid to say as much would try and have you believe. After his victory, Bukele and his wife appeared on the balcony of the National Palace to give all glory to God for their win. Listen.
Y ahora que nos vieron hacer un milagro, que la verdad hay que darle la gloria a Dios. Porque ¿qué somos nosotros? Sino herramientas, todos, herramientas de Dios. Dios quiso sanar nuestro país y lo sanó. A través de un pueblo unido que decidió dejar el pasado atrás y decidió tomar las riendas de su propio destino. Ya veo los titulares. Bukele menciona a Dios y el país debe ser laico. Es que hasta eso nos quieren imponer, que seamos ateos. Nosotros respetamos a todas las religiones, respetamos a los ateos, a los agnósticos, los respetamos y somos sus amigos, pero déjennos creer en Dios. Y déjennos darle la gloria si así lo queremos. ¿En qué les molesta? ¿En qué les afecta? Tal vez les afecta el ejemplo, porque tal vez las poblaciones de sus países a las que les han metido el ateísmo empiecen también o vuelvan a creer en Dios.
Now, if you try and read about his victory in Western media, you'll see words like unconstitutional thrown around. They'll try and scare you to say that when he first took office, he would appear at the Legislative Assembly backed by rifle-toting soldiers. What they don't tell you is that El Salvador was incredibly dangerous at the time, and that those in power always circumvented the Constitution. How else are you going to play? As IM 1776 magazine reports about his first election in 2019, the Supreme Electoral Tribunal worked hand in fist with the two old parties which control everything in El Salvador to block Bukele and his new party from running. After catching wind of this trick, Bukele quickly changed his affiliation to that of a small center-left party. But then the same thing happened. That party was also ruled ineligible by the tribunal. But they waited to deliberate until the final hours that a candidate has to register. And when they made their decision, they planned to wait until the next day to announce it so that Bukele couldn't switch party affiliation once again. Thankfully, an insider told him what was happening, so he switched parties again to that of a small center-right party. As the magazine's commissioning editor argues, the international media and NGOs who claim President Bukele is a threat to democracy in El Salvador had nothing to say in 2019 when the tribunal colluded to illegally subvert democracy by blocking Bukele's candidacy for the presidency. Joining us now to discuss all this and more is former law enforcement officer Mike Pugliese, the founder of the Pugliese Law Firm. Mike, thanks for being here tonight.
Kara, thank you for having me. Yeah, he did remarkable reforms right when he took office, and you're right. I'm familiar with El Salvador, and you were scared just to land your plane there and go in there without having some type of bodyguard waiting for you to take you into San Salvador. But, you know, I've talked to friends down there now, and it's 180 degrees difference. And one of the things he did was he implicated a territorial control plan and actually got President Trump on board with this plan to basically target the high crime areas. And one of the notorious criminal gangs was the MS-13 gang, which we're familiar with here in the United States. That's what is taking over our areas down here through the open borders down in Texas. And but he stopped that. He focused with all his police and military strength on these gangs and these gang activities to bring it to a halt. And he was accused, and you're showing the picture right there, he was accused of showing some type of leniency towards these gang members, and he purposely put out videos of how he had imprisoned these cartel members and these gang members, that they were kept in cramped quarters and pretty close. They weren't given any type of conditions that you could consider somewhat of an appeasement to their criminal activity. But he stopped that.